Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had had the wrong screen in front of my face. Hello, welcome back. We have the last session of today, and it's a very interesting session because it really has to do how communicate in a very easy way to visualize what's happening. Now, the warming of the Earth, you can make it very easily visible. I have my computer laptop, and when I'm giving lectures, everybody sees this the whole time. So I have something to talk about it. And I didn't make up with this. There was someone else who found out this. Maybe you can still remember the Olympic Games in Brazil. I remember the opening games, and suddenly a climate spiral came up. I was like, whoa, the whole world is seeing a climate spiral done by Ed Hawkins. He's really awesome in making the graphics much more powerful, showing it to the public, and it makes a real good awareness. And it was already in May 2016. And in May 2018, he came up with the warming stripes. Well, I got this from Christian. Luckily, next week in the Netherlands, it's not necessary to use this anymore in the public areas, only in the trains and stuff like that. So I'll keep that. Yeah, we all got that. So I'm very happy, Ed Hawkins, you're here. You're professor of climate science at the University of Reading. For this year's Stripes Day on June 21st, United Nations Climate Change, in cooperation with Ed Hawkins, the WMO and IPCC, has a request to the weather presenters from all around the world. Well, this is the place to be then. And it also is the moment where Michael Sackler comes in. Both gentlemen are on the line. And Michael Sackler is a digital communication officer for the United Nations Climate Change. And he's in Bonn in Germany. Well, digital communication officer, it's your time of your life with these digital areas, Michael. Can you both gentlemen take us away in your plans and your request to all our weather presenters? Ed, first.
So thank you very much, Helga, and it's great to be here, and thank you everyone for coming to listen to us today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the warming stripes and our Show Your Stripes campaign. So this is a campaign that we've run for a couple of years now, and we'd like to make it even bigger this year. So in front of you on your screen, you have a very simple representation of changes in global temperature. We have temperature measurements all over the world, stretching back to about 1850. And we're all aware of the fact that the climate has warmed since 1850 up to present day. And we're looking for ways of communicating this fact to audiences. And also, it's more than just the globe is warming. It's all about every region and every country warming as well, and making it relevant to everyone around the planet. And so on the screen, you see the global warming stripes. So each stripe represents 1 year, and the colour of the stripe represents the temperature of the globe in that year. And so on the left-hand side, you see mainly blues, which are the dark blues of the 1800s, the late 1800s. And as you move towards the right-hand side, time is moving on, and the colours get lighter blues and then lighter reds, and then turn dark red over the last few decades. And this is a very visual way of highlighting the fact that we had colder years, blue colours in the past, and much warmer years, the darker red colours more recently. It is a very stark and simple way of just simply communicating that the world is warming. And so this is designed to be as simple as possible for communicating with as broad an audience as possible. There are no numbers, it's not a complicated graph or with axes. It's just a set of colours to communicate a very, very simple message. It is a simple and compelling message that the world is warming. So it is easy to communicate on television or in print or wherever it may be. It's a very easy and simple way to talk about climate change and start conversations about the implications, the consequences, and what we might have to do about it. So it's a way of starting those very, very important conversations that we have to have more and more if we are to respond to this challenge in an appropriate way. It makes climate change visible, which I think is key, because we can often think about climate change as being a very remote concept, very distant, and not relevant to our everyday lives. But this is one way of trying to make it visible and relevant on a day-to-day basis. And so these graphics are available. They're openly and freely available to be used however you want. It's not just for the globe as a whole. We have graphics for every single country around the world. And so, for example, if you're in Germany, then you can go and find the stripes for Germany, which show, again, a change from blue colours to red colours as time goes on. Germany has warmed up just like the rest of the world. There are more variations from year to year. If you look on the smaller scale of a country, and you can also look for other countries, such as Chile. So here's an example for a country in South America. Again, the colours for Chile turn from blues to reds, illustrating the warming that's going on in that country. And then we have an example for Kenya in Africa. Example again, turning from blues to reds. And these are just simple examples of the country data that is available and the graphics we can provide. And so wherever you live, whichever country you live in, you can find these graphics and use them in your communication. And you can do that by going to our website, which is showyourstripes.info. And so you can simply go on to showyourstripes.info and put in your country, and the graphics will be on the screen for you to download and use however you like. There are different designs depending on how you want to communicate. They range from very simple to slightly more complicated, so you can choose whichever is appropriate for your audience. And so this is the third time we've run this campaign, and here's some examples of TV meteorologists using these graphics over the last few years from America, from the UK, from all over the world. People have used these graphics to talk about climate change and start conversations about what we do about it. So we would encourage you to make the most of the resources that we're providing, and would love to see what you do with them and how you communicate to your audiences. Michael, over to you.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, let me quickly start by saying it's really exciting also for us at UN Climate Change to be talking to you. I think especially because the presenter is obviously a very powerful and credible voice on climate change. So it's great to be here. I'm gonna split my presentation in two parts. One is really about why 2021 is such an important year for us and such an important year for international and global climate action. And then the second part is very concrete about the Show Your Stripes Day that's coming up very soon, and the campaign and how we can become a part of it. So as you can see here on this slide, it says a window for action is still open, but it's closing rapidly. So what is at stake this year? To kind of understand that, you need to look back 5 years or 6 years now when the Paris Agreement was adopted. And it works on a 5-year cycle. And this year, for the first time, since Paris, countries have to submit their national climate plans again, which then together make up the global level of ambition. And what they will lock in this year was supposed to be last year. Obviously, the process got delayed due to the corona pandemic. They will have to submit their plans this year and then outline basically the global ambition in terms of climate action for the coming 5 to 10 years. And that the crucial part is, and what makes this year so very important, is that since the Paris Agreement adopted, we have even more science to suggest that this is the really crucial decade to stay on track with the Paris Agreements, to not lose the Paris Agreement targets, to not lose sight of them. So we know that the next 10 years will be incredibly, historically important to get this right. And we also know that we are not there yet. So if we look at what we need until 2030, in terms of emission reductions. That's a 45% reduction compared to 2010 levels. That's according to the IPCC. And if we look at what we have so far, that is only emission reductions of 1% committed by countries. You see there's a big asterisk there. That is because these numbers are based on the plans that we have received so far. And there's still a lot of countries that are still due to submit their plans. So the news on first glance might look worse than they are. There's a big opportunity still to catch up on that number and to get closer to what we need that year. But again, this is what makes the year 2021 so important. The numbers were based on the plans submitted until end of next year. So already we've seen some new momentum this year, and we were hoping obviously that until COP26 in November, which is our key event this year, the crucial climate conference that's going to take place in Glasgow in November. And there, next to this increasing of ambition, both when it comes to climate mitigation, but also in terms of adaptation and finance, there's a series of issues that still need to be resolved on a negotiation level, which really will conclude the implementation rules for the Paris Agreement and allow the Paris Agreement to unfold its full power. So that's really necessary to then, in the 2020s, have the Paris Agreement be implemented and really make sure that there's not items left that would stand in the way of a really ambitious implementation of the agreement. So that so much for the background of why we are so keen in this particular year to run a campaign on climate action and to be calling on all the voices to join us in calling for action. As I've said, the second part, and as mentioned, is about where you come in, hopefully, is a UN communication campaign that we are doing together with the WMO and the IPCC, and obviously centered around the amazing climate stripes developed by Ed. So what is this campaign about? The key goal for this campaign is to drive momentum for a successful outcome in Glasgow, and to really lend as many voices as possible to the call for more ambitious climate action. And let me quickly pull up the next slide here. That's the part where it becomes more specific. How can you participate? We would love if, and I know this is a very short notice because it's already next Monday, but if you are willing to participate in this campaign, this is how it would work. There's 4 very simple steps to participate in the kickoff. And I should say that this is just the kickoff, and we'll have likely a series of activations between the 21st of June when we start and COP26 in Glasgow. But for the 21st, if you go to showyourstripes.info and download the graphic for your country or region, and then include this graphic in the weather segment on June 21st, and really talk about what this graphic means. And I'll have another slide about how to maybe frame this message a bit. If you manage to do this in the short time that is left, it would be great if afterwards you could send us the snippet of the segment over to the email address you see there, newsroom@unfcc.int, so that we can then showcase the amazing work that you've been doing on our social media channels, that we can tag you and make sure that it gets all the visibility. And then finally, if you're participating on the 21st through your weather segment or not, post on the 21st on your social media channels about Show Your Stripes Day. You can even, if this is too short of a notice for the TV moment, just take it to social media, download the graphics, and just join the global call that you'll be seeing, hopefully from all corners, with weather presenters joining in. On the particular message that can be added to the call for action during the TV weather segment. So if you have downloaded the graphic and now are thinking about how do I best talk about this in the brief moment? These are some suggestions. These are their suggestions. You can obviously talk about whatever you feel like, but some ideas would be to talk about how far advanced and ambitious are national climate plans in your country, for example. What is your country doing in terms of climate adaptation? So to prepare for the unavoidable impacts of climate change that we're already seeing and that we'll be seeing throughout the next years and decades. You can highlight the need for national governments to act this year. So basically, what I've been talking about in the first part of the presentation about the historic importance of the year 2021 and COP26 and the historic opportunity to really make progress towards achieving the Paris Agreement. And then finally, another point that is really important to us and that we try to really underline everywhere is that it's as important as action this year by national governments. This is really, and that's something that the Paris Agreement also makes very clear, is national governments can't do it alone. And as part of the Race to Zero campaign that some of you might have seen coming from the UN high-level climate champions, we've seen an amazing amount of action coming from cities, businesses, investors, and that's really an important point to make, that if we want to get this right in the 2020s and beyond, we really need everyone on board, and we need everyone from the individual consumer all the way up to the intergovernmental level to be joining forces in that. With that, I'm just gonna say that if you have any questions, I'm very aware that this is a last minute request, and if there are any questions, please do send me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you make this happen even for Monday. And with that, I'll pass it back over.
Well, Michael, your request couldn't come earlier because Ed was just working his ass off to get it done yesterday, to have the newest updated versions of all the stripes. I've got a question for you, Ed, coming in. We have from blue to red, and someone says, I might have missed it, but what's the benchmark? What's the average period you take?
So no, that's a very good question. So the blue colours change to red colours at the average temperature for the 1971 to 2000 period. And that is done across every country to make sure all the graphics are comparable. And so that is what is done in these particular graphics.
Great. And Michael, there's a question for you. What is the oversight of the UNFCCC has over the submitted plans of the country, since the administrative boundaries cannot stop climate change? How is the effectiveness and the implementation of the plans actually evaluated on the local scale?
So the implementation is very much down to the national level. Countries are implementing the plans that they are putting forward under the Paris Agreement. So that if you can think of it as the Paris Agreement and our process as the roof under which we collect these plans and under which the ambition is happening, but then implementation is actually happening on the national level. It's happening more and more on the regional level, on the city level, but as the intergovernmental body on climate change, we're obviously predominantly working directly in the negotiations with countries.
Oh, you were talking about 45% in 2030. I might have good news, because the European Commission, Europe, they have said, listen, we're going for 55% because there's too much urgency and we can't wait any longer. And there's a big budget to help all the countries and the companies to do it better when they come back after COVID. So there's a lot of money available and a lot of initiatives to do so. So that's good. And in the Netherlands, we have a very good climate plan, but we also have some very engaged people who are suing the government, saying, listen, this is about human rights. And what you do right now is not according to the Paris plan. So you have to do more. And actually, they won. So the government has to do more than that they actually do. So that's a good sign. And also Shell has been sued a week ago by saying, listen, what you do is just not doing well for the climate. And you knew about this. So you have to do better. So things are changing gradually, but we need time. We don't have any time. We have to do it quicker. So I hope everybody can join. Go to, I put it in the chat already, showyourstripes.info. You can find your own country, and they added some new graphics concerned to what they had last year. So Ed, I'm very grateful on your work. And as I understood, everybody is allowed to use it, even a museum who wants to put it on the wall. It's no problem, right?
It's no problem. You can use them however you like. And people have already used them in so many different novel ways, including in museums, on TV, on side of trams and trains and walls and music festivals. It's happened all over the world. And so we'd love to see what you do with it, and just use it however you like.
Okay, well, thanks. People follow Ed on Twitter as well, so you can keep updated on everything that happens. And Michael, thank you as well. I hope a lot of people can join us on this special day next Monday. And if not, the COP is still a few months away, so we will support you in 1,000 ways. Thank you so much.
That's great to hear.
Well, it comes. Yeah. Well, now we come up to the end of the session of today. There is, of course, tomorrow a very interesting program. You can look in the swap cards what's coming up. I hope everybody can join. Still in the early morning for the American people, and still in the late afternoon for the Asian people. I hope everybody is there. If it's okay, tomorrow, today will be possible to review. But well, tomorrow you're busy. Do it this next weekend. Swap card will be open for a long time, so that's no problem at all. Well, take a look at the partner areas, because if you look at EUMETSAT or WMO, you see a lot of extra links where you can find a lot of interesting information. So keep each other inspired. And there's also a satisfaction survey. Whether you liked it or not, or maybe you want something else next time, please let us know. And of course, there's a networking tool. You can connect to people. I already sent a lot of people like a message. Oh, do you want to connect with me? Nice, you're here. Do that, because that's easier to find each other and to let messages know to each other. And put all your remarks and lessons learned on social media. You know the accounts of the FIM, and you know the hashtag FIMC2021, FIMC 2121. And I'd love to see you all tomorrow. Oudemang, hasta mañana, bis morgen, min cheng tier, odomani, tot morgen, bye. And for everybody who has been to this webinar before or this meeting before, I said, to the bar.